Time for us to leave our little abode. So farewell to Donnelly River Village. We're off to Tom Road campsite today. A nice easy return to the track. It's only 16 kilometres, not too many ups and downs, so it will be a nice way to actually get back and reacquaint ourselves with the hiking life. So off we go. Goodbye to Donnelly River Village, which has been a terrific place to stay. A lot to explore here, some great history in regard to the logging industry in the southwest of Western Australia. But for now, it's time to get back on the track. Been pretty easy walking this morning. We're back on a rail formation now. See a little bit of an embankment on either side of the track. Been very smooth, hardly an undulation so far, which makes for a nice transition back into walking after the rest day. The mottled light now coming through the trees is quite beautiful. This is quite magical, walking through the really deep forest with such high undergrowth and the trees just looming magnificently overhead. It really does make you realise how, as a human being, you're really not so much insignificant, but form just a tiny part of this incredible world in which we live. But with the dappled light, the tall trees, the heavy undergrowth, this is magic. This may well be a test for little legs.
If I had shorter legs, I would go under.
At 5 foot 4 1/4. Now look at that for poise, grace and effectiveness.
Elegance.
Let's not go overboard. Well done, Judith. So here we are at the Tom Road campsite. It's the only one that actually remains from the initial alignment of the Bibbulmun Track. There's been a couple of realignments, most noticeably, or notably I should say, in the late 1990s. But here we are, the Tom Road campsite, hut, which overlooks the river, which has got a nice little pool down there. We'll be going down there a little bit later to check it out. Well, this, I think, wins the prize so far for the most beautiful situation for a hut. Right on the Donnelly River. And it's got a little permanent pool here. How beautiful is that? Absolutely magnificent.
And welcome to another Jude's Tech Talk on cooking. The only time I cook is when I'm camping. I don't cook at home. So again, got my jet boil here, and I've got angel hair spaghetti. Don't know if you can see inside, but there is some angel hair spaghetti in there. I pre-cooked that a little bit, and then what I do is dehydrate my own food. So this is a dehydrated dry, and then what I do is when I get to camp, I put water and I soak them for at least half an hour, but it can be longer, and then literally plonk it in. Whoops. Stir it up, add a bit of water to taste, and that will be the spag bowl meal for tonight, except for it's beef rendang, not spag bowl.
Exactly a month today, we actually started this little expedition from Kalamunda all the way down to Albany on the Bibbulmun Track. And I think it's safe to say that this particular campsite here, Tom Road, is the best that we've been at. The hut overlooks this beautiful body of water just here. It is absolutely magnificent as we're about to bid you farewell for the night. Still plenty of blue sky overhead. There may be a little bit of rain tomorrow, but there's hardly a breath of air. So it's time to say good night, even though it's fairly early in the evening. We're yet to hit 6 o'clock. But this has been an absolutely idyllic afternoon. We only had to walk 16 k's. We took it slowly. We got in about 1:30 in the afternoon after a somewhat slow meander through the magnificent Karri forests. But so far, this one gets the biggest tick of approval. Tom Road campsite, Tom Road hut, absolutely delightful. Time very shortly to turn in for another night on the track. Just gone 6 a.m, leaving the Tom Road hut, which is a bit of a shame. If you wanted to have a rest day in a hut anywhere on the Bibbulmun Track, that would be the one to actually go for. As we mentioned, absolutely magnificent. The weather, it's a little bit overcast today. I think we've been told there's about a 50-60% chance of rain, but very, very little. So we're off to boarding house today. It's about 24 k's, thereabouts. Not too many undulations. They come tomorrow and the day after when we go to Beavis and Beetle huts. But hopefully today the rain will stay away. And as soon as we leave that little exit road coming down from the campsite at Tom Road, we're back into the forest. So looking forward to a nice day. A couple of nice picnic spots we've read along the way today, so we might avail ourselves of them at some stage and have a cup of tea or coffee, and perhaps time it so we can have our lunch at one of them as well. But on the road for another day on the Bib. You're zigzagging all over the road, Judith.
Are you filming?
Yes, I am filming.
Yeah, well, it's because I was going to stop, but then I thought you're filming, so I thought I'd better not
stop for a comfort break.
No, I was just going to stop, and then you were filming, and I thought I'd better not stop, and then I couldn't balance.
You can stop right there now, as I'm going past. There are a few sections on the Bibbulmun Track where it actually shares the route with the Mundabiddi, the cycle track that goes all the way from Mundaring down to Albany. And this is one part, this little stretch that we're going through at the moment. Jude actually cycled along here with a friend a couple of years ago down to Albany. So it won't be too long and the two will diverge again, but this little part here, you can almost see where the bikes have been riding. Nice little meeting of the two very famous cross-country trails in WA. About to cross Cow Brook. Can't see any cows, but they have built a nice little bridge. This is where the tracks do diverge again. The Mundabiddi heading off there towards the right, and the Bibbulmun, we're turning left and heading up in this direction. Cup of tea time.
This is one of the great parts of this trip, is I like having my cup of tea in the bush.
We do indeed. We've done nearly 9 kilometres.
Oh, that's a long time.
In fact, we might have even done more than 9 as I look at my watch. No, 8.7. So a tea break and then we're off in this direction. A quick stop just to put the rain covers on our pack because the rain has started. Well, a drizzle, a reasonably heavy drizzle at the moment. We're told though that it's only a max of potentially 5 millimetres today. May not get anywhere near that, but better to be safe than sorry, so the pack covers are on. No ponchos out yet. Quite happy to get a little bit wet, sort of dry out when it stops. As you can see, the rain has intensified, so we've put our ponchos on as well. And it looks like it may have set in for quite some time, unfortunately. Lovely day for hiking now, Judith.
Yeah, I look attractive.
Please don't knock it over. Other people want photos here.
Sorry.
So here we are, the official halfway point between Kalamunda and Albany. It varies all the time, of course. It's not 1,002 k's. We've already done more than 501 with our 4 prescribed fire diversions, but how does it feel?
It feels good. It feels like it's achievable.
In fact, what it feels like is from here on it's all downhill.
It is all downhill to Albany.
Oh, high five then.
Woohoo!
Well done. 501 down, 501 to go. About 3.5 kilometres away from boarding house now, and I have to say physically I've really struggled today. Not that it's been very hilly, we got a couple of them out of the way very early, and really the last 15-18 k's towards camp is just the odd bump on the road. But for some strange reason, when I've been in towns and come off the track every time so far, I found it difficult to sleep. You'd think it'd be the opposite, get into a comfortable bed and it would be better than sleeping on an air mattress, but for whatever reason the same thing happened to me again 2 nights in a row at Donnelly village, and then last night I struggled again, even though I was back in the hut at Tom Road. So today, even though as far as elevation and terrain and the likes is concerned, it hasn't really been tough, but for me, I just feel completely physically drained, just looking forward to getting into the campsite, setting up for the night, and then probably having a reasonably early one, because the next 2 days we've got 2 of the toughest on the entire track, with a lot of hills and a lot of steep descents. But today, just not quite my day. Quite incredible when you walk the southwest forests of Western Australia, just how many remnants of old rail formations there are. We're in another one here with the embankments on either side. But there must have been a hell of a lot of work done in decades gone by, many years ago, to actually build all these. They crisscross the forest everywhere. And we can see here just what sort of a fun day Jude has had. You probably can't see Jude because it's on the back of your legs, but they're covered in charcoal from going over logs that have fallen everywhere along the track. That's where we're going tomorrow. We're turning left, going to Beavis. Right now, we're turning right and going to the hut boarding house. Takes its name from the accommodation that was so common around the southwest in the timber industry. Boarding houses where workers would spend their time between going out and felling big trees in the forest and getting a good night's sleep. Hopefully tonight I'll get the latter. Hello again. Five minutes past 6 and we're on our way, leaving boarding house for Beavis. Everything we've heard about this particular day's hiking, whether it be chatting to people along the track, whether it be watching YouTube videos, whether it be reading the Bibbulmun Foundation handbook, this is going to be a testing day. A lot of climbing and some very steep descents. I guess in Tour de France parlance, it's probably the Queen stage, the way it's been spoken about. So we'll see how we hold up. There's still a chance of a little bit of rain today. I've already put the pack cover on. There won't be a lot of rain, but if it does fall, at least I'm reasonably prepared. So looking forward to walking through some very mature karri forest today, but maybe breathing heavily when I do. Time will tell. Our first uphill is not too far away from the junction where we came into the hut yesterday. So we'll be putting the body under a little bit of stress quite early in the morning. about 2.5 kilometres out of the boarding house hut, and we've been on a steady incline for about probably nearly 2 kilometres. Quite incredible the amount of bark that comes off these big carry trees. Some of it is almost 3 metres in length as it just cascades down over time and then brings you that beautiful colour. This one will end up going a lot whiter, a lot more pale, but the debris that it leaves behind when it sheds is quite incredible. Now we start our first significant descent of the day. Luckily it's not raining. Some of this bark underfoot will be quite slippery. But you feel something like this really in your knees. The pack on your back, the additional weight you're carrying. It's almost like you have to brake at times every step. Unfortunately, I spoke a little bit too soon because the rain has fallen and we have had to put our ponchos on, and this is a rather precarious bridge to get over. In fact, what I might do as Jude heads off to go over a rather substantial log is I might just turn this off and make sure I can get over successfully, because it's going to be slippery and we need to be very cautious. About halfway across, which again gives you an idea of the enormity of carry trees. I've seen some big ones that have fallen in the forest. This one though has had a decent purpose. That was fun, Judith.
That was quite incredible, to be honest.
Glad they put the chicken wire down on top of it, which made it less slippery.
I know, it's a bit of a worry.
The steep ascent coming out of that little valley, gully, whatever you want to call it, where that bridge is, has provided the first zigzag track. The only way they can get up here is to have the track bend back on itself repeatedly. Otherwise you'd be almost going up a cliff face. Well, as we saw, the sign telling us to walk down the middle of the bridge to stay away from the sides because there's no guard railing. But Jude's decided to take a seat over here to make our morning cup of tea.
I think I'll be okay.
Don't lean back, Judith.
I think it's good that they warn you, but yeah, what happened to common sense?
Yeah.
No such thing.
Have you ever wondered how timber workers cut down big trees? There it is. A pair of secateurs just randomly sitting here, and I think they may have actually felled this particular tree just so they can put a sign on it so Jude knows where she's going. we're turning right.
Which way?
Yeah, that way. I think I'll leave the secateurs there. I don't need any more weight in my backpack. As always, the camera doesn't do justice to either the steepness of a descent or ascent, but this climb, I can assure you, is steep.
Very steep.
That's it, I forgot the qualifier. Very steep. Thankfully, that climb is behind us now, and we've just got a few undulations through to camp in around 6 k's or so. It's very humid today. A little bit of blue sky poking through now and a bit of sunshine, but the humidity really does tax you when you're going up some of those steep climbs. As I said, the worst of it is now behind us for the day. Final few metres into the Beavis Hut and campsite. It's actually named after Jack Beavis, who was one of the early surveyors in this particular district. So very shortly we'll see what tonight's accommodation looks like.
Good afternoon.
This would probably provide a nice bit of respite on a very hot day of camping, but unfortunately what it's doing at the moment is creating an absolute horrific number of mosquitoes. And they don't really affect me too greatly, but they do affect Jude in particular and Vicky, our New Zealand friend. So Judith is going to sleep in my tent tonight. I'm going to be sleeping over there. And Greg and Vicky have actually erected their tents in the campsite at the back of the hut, because Vicky is badly affected by them. Hardly got any sleep last night with them all buzzing around at boarding house. So whilst that little pond area looks lovely, unfortunately at this time of the year it brings about a whole lot of mosquitoes, doesn't it, Judith? Yes. That's far better. 6 o'clock in the evening, and believe it or not, everyone is actually heading into their tent or into their sleeping bag. Interesting day, 21 kilometres, climbed about 670 metres as far as elevation was concerned. So I mentioned at the start of the day the Bibbulmun Track handbook for this section, and also people we'd come into contact with along the trail all said that it was probably going to be a very arduous day for us. In fact, the Bibbulmun guide talked about a very steep climb. It was only the one really coming out of a very low area after we crossed a bridge, but I guess looking back on it, it wasn't all that bad. Tomorrow we've got another day where we're over some rolling hills, a distance of about 20 k's. We'll talk a bit more about that tomorrow, but here at Beavis, the mosquitoes have sent everyone to bed early at the end of a day where, well, as I said, it wasn't as bad as what we thought it was going to be, which is always a plus when you're out hiking, especially with a heavy pack on your back. Time now for bed. We'll give you another update tomorrow.